What heroes are going to come complement their eternal battle?
Oh, very well. I'm interested to see who gets first pick because I believe for this it's just coin toss, and it is actually going to be Ripple on blue, Onyx on red, and I have to wait for the players to get in so we can actually see who gets the first pick.
ANZ Internet at its finest, boys and girls.
All right, so it's going to be
red ban.
Yeah, so Onyx will have the first ban. Wouldn't be surprised to see just Medivh taken away. It's just very strong and has, as we were saying before, it provides a lot of setup potential for a variety of different compositions. So wouldn't be surprised to see it taken away, or unless they feel as though they want to be able to pick it up and they are proficient enough with it that they can utilize it. But now they just don't want to take it, don't want to have to deal with it. Just
don't
take it away right
none
off
of
the
that
bat.
junk in their trunk,
Yeah.
GL. Don't have time for Maiev. She's too strong.
Yeah, just does a little bit of everything a little bit too well, and it just, as I was saying, there's so much, so many heroes that can just follow up on all that setup so well that it's very hard to deal with, and it's easy just to take out the source of all that power and just take away the Maiev instead of going after any of the others. So yeah, we'll probably be seeing that ban throughout most of the night. If not, she will probably get picked.
Yep, I couldn't agree more. I don't think there's any room in our games tonight, GL, to allow Maiev through. She's just going to be too brutal. And we've got an interesting ban potentially coming out here.
Yeah, they were hovering over the Greymane, which I would have very much understood, especially for this map. Greymane does have a lot of race potential onto those Immortals. It can burst it down incredibly well, and just in general, the way he's played now is just very powerful. We saw it in the last match, just able to execute a lot of those low health targets. And it's not going to be that ban, though. It is going to go towards that Sonya, so not wanting to deal with a lot of that solo lane potential, wanting to get a better matchup for the, in that solo lane.
Yeah, and with the engage that she's able to bring to the table, I feel like people are moving away from Wrath of the Berserker in games that I've been watching and games that I've been playing, GL, and they're more favoring the Leap. And with the way that she's currently set up, she's now more like an assassin than that Bruiser, but she can still solo lane like an absolute champ.
Yeah, her damage output is incredibly powerful and very hard to deal with for a lot of heroes. You need to really have a lot of sustain to be able to deal with it, and even then, she just has a lot of sustain in and of herself, so very hard to deal with. And it is actually going to be like Greymane. It is going to be the first pick for Onyx. Very powerful pick, as I was saying, for this map. Can race down those Immortals very quickly. And yeah, now
insta-lock Blaze.
Yeah, understanding the power of that hero. We usually see it in one of those first bans, but it is available, and as it wasn't picked up, it is going to be the first or one of the first pickups for Ripple, and they're going to pair it up with the Hanzo. So wanting to try and match some of the racing potential on those Immortals, and also put out a little bit of extra damage from afar.
Oh, GL, there's no better way to take down an Immortal than with that W build Hanzo. The scatter arrow into the talents in the first sort of 2 and 3 talents. You just rip through an Immortal in seconds, really. So if you got Blaze peeling for you, and maybe a Diablo potentially, you can absolutely clear that out very quickly.
Yeah, there's quite a few other tools that can really help out with blasting down those Immortals. Things like Tracer can do reasonably well. I think Li Ming is one of the best to really complement a lot of that racing potential. The Arcane Missiles are just, especially once you get later game and you get the Mirror Ball and start throwing 5 at a time, it can really, really chunk out that Immortal. And even from a very safe distance, it can happen as well. So to be honest, I wouldn't actually be surprised if Onyx end up going in that direction if they do pick up the Li Ming, because not only does it fare rather well against the Immortal, but the setup alongside the Greymane is very powerful, and that's the reset potential is very strong. But they are going to pick up the ETC and the Tyrael, so that is their front line just set, and those are two very highly prioritized warriors in the current meta.
Yeah, and just to clarify for the people at home, the reworked Sonya and Medivh are available for play from tonight. They were excluded from the Premier Division last night, however, good to go. So, GL, we may see a Medivh come out at some point tonight, and I feel that we're going to get a lot of value out of watching that for everyone at home, and for us, I think it'll be a bit of a spectacle. So, I'd love to see one. Let's see whether or not we get that this game.
Well, he was actually banned in the last game between Ego Void and Eternal Adaptation, so they do recognize the strength, but just not wanting to verse it, it just got banned away. But we could even see it in this match. It's a possibility, especially if you pair it with some of the engaged potential that we see from an ETC. You could throw Medivh in there. All of a sudden, you got a rather hodgepodge, like almost like a budget version of the Medivh Diablo that we've seen for quite a while at this point, and able to really dismantle a lot of backline threats.
Well, we could see the Medivh Tauren Chieftain combo with a little bit of a teleport straight into the middle of a team fight and an ETC popping through and going, "Hey guys, I got a little mosh pit for you," and really upsetting a lot of the team on Ripple. So let's see whether or not we get that. That'd be the dream.
It would be very fun to watch. Just waiting to whether or not they end up going that direction remains to be seen. But now we're into the second half of the draft. Ripple still have 2 picks available to them. 2 supports were banned in the second round of bans. So the Uther taken away, the Malfurion taken away. Very strong heroes. Well, Uther, he facilitates a lot of what Onyx do want to be doing. The Greymane has so much protection around him. The ETC with all the peeling potential at his back. Tyrael with the shielding, the sanctification, can do so much work in allowing a Greymane to be very aggressive, playing in that Worgen form. And the Uther would just play into that so much more. So understandable that Ripple takes that away.
Getting a D shield onto the Greymane and combining that with a Sanct gives Greymane almost 6 full seconds of just unprohibited smashing. So smart move. Good ban on the Uther.
Yeah, and now that essentially 2 of the highest priority supports have been taken away, Ripple do just take away that last one with the Stukov. Just has too much power and makes it very hard for some of these compositions to really play around in and around these team fights because of that lurking arm. It makes the zone control just way too powerful. That giant silence and slowing is just makes it very awkward for someone like a Greymane to dive in and really be useful.
Yeah, with the choke points that we see around those Immortals, especially when they're on the base side of the 4 points, you get that choke point between the gate with your Fallen Shaman camp and the Immortal, and you can just choke that out completely with that lurking arm. Force the entire team to either go through and commit whilst being silenced and copping a boatload of damage, or having to go around, allowing a lot more time to put damage onto that Immortal. And if Hanzo and Li Ming are putting the damage onto the Immortal, it is going to fall very quickly.
And yeah, that's a lot of damage coming out of the Ripple lineup, and it's going to be actually responded by Onyx with the Tychus and the Rhaegar. So the Rhaegar is essentially just that tier below a lot of those other healers, but still can do quite well in facilitating that very forward style of playstyle. And the Tychus is pretty decent into the Stukov, just throwing out a grenade, especially if you get the quarterback talent at level 7, can really just interrupt that lurking arm from a fair distance. And also, I think they might be anticipating an Arthas pick coming out for the side of Ripple, because the Arthas would do very well into what Onyx has picked up, does negate a lot of the strengths that Greymane does have, and locks him down very much when he wants to try and go in. And the Tychus could shred through a lot of that armor that the Arthas provides, and also punch through a lot of that HP that the Blaze has as well. So I do quite like the pickup of that Tychus towards the end for Onyx.
Yeah, I agree. So it's very smart drafting that Onyx have done here, GL. Picking up the Tychus and the Rhaegar to a lesser extent, well, you've called it, absolutely. But the Tychus threatens that Arthas pickup. So it would have made Ripple think once or twice just about, do we really want to go into an Arthas? Tychus is going to shred through him. You know what? We're going to take the risk.
Yeah, it's still too good of an opportunity to pick it up because of what they're going up against. That very kind of death ball style that Onyx is going to be running. So you've got the ETC, the Tyrael, and the Greymane, also the Rhaegar potentially as well, just throwing themselves in amongst the mix. The Arthas wants that kind of style going into him, and he will be able to slow down a lot of attack speed, really negate a lot of the damage coming out from that Onyx lineup. So even though that Tychus does pose a rather significant threat to his livelihood, he's still going to be quite powerful in that lineup.
Couldn't agree more, as we have the teams loading into Battlefield of Eternity. Tyrael going to support his fallen angel brethren. GL, what are your picks for this game? They're both very solid looking drafts. One
Yeah.
much more accounted for PvE than PvP, but
Well, actually, both of them are quite good for the PvE. You've got the Greymane, who's able to very quickly take down an Immortal almost on his own, whereas on the other side, you've got the Liming and the Hanzo, who do have rather strong racing potential. So both sides are quite powerful in that regard, and I think it's just going to come down to a lot of these 5v5 team fights, because I think that's where a lot of the disparity will start to really show.
I think you're onto something there, GL. As we get underway, ladies and gentlemen, round 2 in the ANZ Open Division, Ripple Esports, our sponsored team here. We got Burnsy on the Arthas, Venom on that Stukov, Lapra playing by Lady Li Ming, Mav on the Hanzo, and Loke on the Blaze.
And on the red side, we have Onyx Esports, we have Grumpshot on the Rhaegar, we have Quads on Tyrael, AC the Man on ETC, The Fish on Tychus, and Shardstorm is going to be on the Greymane.
With a Sonic Arrow straight out of the gates there, just to try and spy out any of those cheeky ganks. ETC obviously waiting on the wings there, GL. Taking a lot of damage. Loke with the jet propulsion almost locks him down around that corner. He gets away by the skin of his little guitar.
Yeah, take so much damage, and we're already seeing some of the threat that is going to be posed to that front line of Onyx Esports, and they have to be very careful. They need to be able to really be there and just prevent a lot of the damage going onto that backline of Onyx Esports. They need the ETC, or they need the Greymane and the Tigers to be able to get a lot of their damage out, and it's going to be very hard because they need to be able to get onto that backline, but with Hanzo and Liming able to do their damage from such a long range, it could be quite difficult for them.
Oh, we've got an engage onto the Arthas here. Burnsy taking a lot of damage from Fish on the Tychus. You see the grenade go out, he gets away, and the breakaway there. Good little fracas, GL.
Yeah, just a lot of damage going down onto both of those front liners. Burnsy getting out there, as you mentioned, by the skin of his teeth, but AC the Man actually has to back away all the way back to base because of the amount of damage coming in from the Hanzo and also the Liming, and just, as I was saying, just how safe they can be in outputting a lot of that damage. It's really going to be important for the members of Onyx Esports to get onto that backline, really prevent a lot of that damage from poking down some of the DPS members of Onyx, because we're seeing right now, Shardstorm and the Fish, they've taken quite a bit of damage just from just incidental damage thrown out by the Hanzo and the Li Ming.
The poking from Hanzo and Li Ming is astronomical. I mean, Mav with that Hanzo, I don't think I've seen him miss a Q yet, and is quite proficient on his scatter arrow as well. Li Ming also with the orbs. Or Tychus taking a fair chunk of damage there. Getting slowed by the Stukov, but no concerns here. AC the Man just blocking some of that damage for his team. What's happening up in our top lane there, GL? Looks like a fairly standard battle.
Yeah, it's just going to be the Blaze and the Tyrael. They both are rather competent solo laners. The Blaze will be able to clear the wave very efficiently while also sustaining himself, whereas the Tyrael will be able to just shield his own minions, which also kind of fulfills a wave clear role. It just in the inverse fashion. So both of them are going to be rather safe in those top lanes, but it looks like Loke is actually going to be taking that camp with Quads not really having any idea about it just so far.
Yeah, so we see Ripple taking away the Khasra camp on the bottom there, but Grumpshot and Shardstorm have rotated up to the Fallen Shaman, and they're going to take this out just in time with the Immortal to spawn. Perfect timing, GL. What are we going to see there? Blaze gets the top Khasra camp as well, so he's going to be out of this for the next sort of 15 seconds or so as he rotates down.
Yeah, both of the Khasra camps were taken by Ripple, but they are going to be able to get cleaned out eventually. But it looks like Onyx Esports, they're not worrying about the camps just yet. They're okay with just taking that the Shaman camp for themselves and allowing that to push in, and that will push in with how much pressure they can provide. But they are going to be forced to deal with one on the bottom side, not really having other tools to deal with it. But they are just going to be rushing down this Immortal. We see the damage coming out of them, and it looks like it's going to be up to Ripple to try and get in and defend their own.
Halftime show kicks in as we see Ripple coming in for the defense. What are they going to bring to the table? Do we have an engage? Arthas missing that Howling Blast. Ackman taking a lot of damage. He is silenced. The jet propulsion stuns him. Ackman gets away with 20 odd HP again. Shardstorm pushing the other Ripple's Esports away, trying to save the life of Ackman, and he does.
But throughout all of this, we've had Mav on the Hanzo just dealing with the red side Immortal, and seeing how much damage he's able to do. As Locke actually takes a lot of damage. He will be able to get himself out of there just with the jet propulsion at the end, but it was enough of a delay that the Immortal is going to go over to the side of Ripple, and that is very powerful for them.
This is the value that you get out of a Hanzo on your team. He's talented into Redemption and Serrated Arrows at level 4, so he's doing 150% more damage to minions and mercs, and he's hitting them twice as quick now. Once his quest gets completed, he's on 8 stacks, he's almost there.
Yeah, and once he hits level 7, and when he starts getting his auto attacks, reducing the cooldown of his scatter arrow, he's going to be able to throw those out much more quickly and really just blast through that Immortal without too much of an issue. But now that they're pushing in, the amount of zone control on the side of Ripple Esports, it's very hard for Onyx to get in and really defend against this Immortal. We see the Howling Blast, we see the Lurking Arms, just all the scatter arrows, all the damage that's being thrown about. It's making it very hard for Onyx to really put up a considerable defense here.
That's a very difficult defense here for the boys on Onyx. And, you know, we've got a little bit of a limited range on Tigers. He may be a ranged assassin, but he doesn't have huge range. He's not the same as a Valor or a Raynor. He has to get a little bit closer, and that puts him in a lot of danger. So he's not really willing to poke his head out until there's a solid engage, which I'm assuming is going to have to come from the ETC there, Gio.
Yeah, and it's, as we're just seeing over the course of the 5 minutes we've seen so far, a lot of it has been just the long-range poke coming out of a Laming and a Hanzo, and it's really onto the side of Onyx to make that engage happen, because otherwise they're just going to get poked down for days, and the Rhaegar only has so much healing to work with.
Yeah, the poke is astronomical on the side of Ripple at the moment, and we've got Stukov picking up at level 7 there within my reach, so he's got that extra range on the Lurking Arm, which is going to make him that much more frustrating. Gil, this is not looking so good for Onyx right now.
Yeah, but with this fight over the camp, always, man, trying to get in there, but here comes that Lurking Arm you're talking about, and that is just obnoxious.
Oh, the fish almost going down. He gets the kill onto the Hanzo. They back away, GL. That was intense for a couple of seconds there.
Yeah, it did end up being a 2-for-1 fight in favor of Ripple Esports, and they also managed to steal that camp, but they almost get the fish as well, but he will manage to get out of there. But this should be this top 4 going down in favor of Ripple Esports, and that should get them closer to that level 10. There's not really a hell of a lot that can be done by Onyx, but I'm sure we'll be able to clear it out just in time, so they will be able to hold on for that fort for just a little bit longer, but they're being put behind in experience, and this is just this is a really good opportunity for Ripple to just keep on applying the pressure and get some of those extra towers down around the map, try and get to that level 10 and really force the pressure onto Onyx.
And pressure's what they've got bucket loads of with all this poke, GL. And we see Burnsy trying to threaten against Onyx here as the halftime show kicks in, and Onyx taking the slight lead exactly as we saw in the opening round of the Immortals. Now, the opposing Immortals on the opposing sides here, this is going to be a team fight. Arthas going in, gets the Howling Blast onto the Tychus, silences out from the Stukov, Quads caught in the middle, Tyrael is going to go down, but he gets away, GL.
Yeah, just a sliver of health. He does manage to get out of there, but now the rest of Onyx are trying to just at least finish off this Immortal so they have something to work with. And I think they might be able to, because Ripple are actually backing away for now.
We see Burnsy and Lapra both.
Oh, actually, never mind. Mav, we had the exact same thing as we saw in the first Immortal. Mav, throughout the entire team fight, was just not there. He was dealing with that Immortal, and he just blasted it down. There was really nothing that Onyx could really do about that, because they had to make a play, and that is not able to do so with how much Immortal pressure coming out from that Hanzo, and they just were not able to get the fight either. So, very nice fight coming, or I guess preventative measures coming out, and level 10 has been picked up, and we already see the Syndragosa being used, interestingly enough.
Syndragosa from the Arthas. Burnsy is playing by the seat of his pants here, GL. We don't get to see a Syndragosa very often. I know some of those NA commentators, Trixler, for one, loves seeing a Syndragosa come out. I'm no different. It's great. Let's see what he can do with it.
To be honest, it probably could have been used a little bit more efficiently, because it was used so early on at a fort that was probably not going to be defended anyway. They're not able to use it here, and we just see just how efficiently they can just clear up this Immortal now that it's that all these towers are doing so much of the work. They do manage to take down 2 extra towers for themselves and really start ballooning this experience lead in favor of Ripple. But I think they could have been used a little bit more efficiently, to be honest.
Yeah, GL, the 20-second disabling of any structures for Syndragosa would have been perfect on that keep right there. Don't know whether it would have netted them the keep, but they've certainly cleaned out that outer keep wall, the fort, and everything in that bot lane, opening up a perfect opportunity for their Fallen Shaman camp to start wreaking some havoc against that keep come next Immortal phase. So,
absolutely.
Very interesting stuff happening in this game for us, ladies and gents.
Yeah, but we already... Another thing that we do need to note about the Hanzo build is that he cleans out mercenary camps incredibly quickly. They were able to just blast their way through the bottom one and make their way up to the top side in time for this fight to happen, as they do get a great engage.
The fight here, the Dragon Arrow comes out, the silence. Quads uses Sanctification on himself. Actaman gets the Ancestral. We've got Odin popped, pushing everybody back. Ripple having to kind of leg it out of there a little bit.
Yeah, and that was actually quite a lot used on the side of Onyx for not much on the side of Ripple. There was the Ancestral, the Sanctification, and also the Odin Pop for only the Dragon's Arrow coming out of Ripple. So they have a lot of tools coming into this next fight that it looks like Onyx won't be able to really deal with.
I've got Syndragosa back up. That is going to be absolutely devastating if they take this Immortal GL. And we don't see any real surprises coming out except for the Syndragosa from anybody else. We've got the bunker. We've got that massive shove. Li Ming's got the wave of force to disrupt that mosh pit. I don't think we're ever going to see that until we see the mosh dropped.
Yeah, it's just a very powerful tool. And also, we're seeing lately as we're actually just going to get engaged over the point. The level advantage is a little bit too much, and they just blow up.
Goes down. There's the mosh, gets 3 of them. Rhaegar goes exploding. Arthas is down. Onyx fighting for their life on this point. Loke is getting pinned down by the Greymane. Bunker goes down. Good night, Li Ming. Cornered and harassed by the 3 blokes on the Fallen Shaman camp.
Yeah, and in the end, it is just going to be a 2-for-2 trade, but the camp does go over to the side of Onyx, and considering that they were talent and experience down, as they are going to keep on chasing down as Locke is trying to get himself out of there. Shazam trying to finish him off. Mav and Venom trying to help out, but it's just not enough. They do end up losing that Blaze, and this is a great opportunity for the side of Onyx. They can start working on the Immortal, but Shazam very low. Does actually get the Ancestral, so he's just going to keep on moving through.
And Venom goes down to that go for the throat. Sorry, that was the Rhaegar bite. My apologies. Stukov dead anyway.
Either way, they do manage to get the kill, and the great staggered death means that this is just going to allow Onyx to just keep on applying the pressure onto this Immortal, get so much free damage that Ripple just aren't able to really respond to. They do manage to get the Shaman camp for themselves, so that is going to apply a bit of pressure, but this could very well just be an Immortal going over to the side of Ripple, side of Onyx, sorry, and they can start mounting a little bit of a comeback.
We've got a little bit of an engage coming here from Burnsy. I think it's too little too late as we see that Holy Ground pushing them away. Shardstorm finishing that up for Onyx. This is going to be the first Immortal of the game for them, GL. Let's see whether or not they can cause some havoc and devastation for Ripple Esports.
Yeah, they did actually take a decent chunk out of the shield thanks to Mav on that Hanzo, just going up there, just doing as much as he could, because they would still have a lot of that poke damage that they can use to really shred down the Immortal. But they do actually have the Odin being popped. They want to get this siege going as strongly as possible and not allowing Ripple to really defend it with all of their might.
Look at that zoning coming out right there. Odin having to go down to the side, allowing an Arthas to be able to Howling Blast if and when he needs to. This Immortal still sitting at around 80 HP. This fort's going to go down. Actaman trying to look for a little bit of a power slide and a pick here, but nothing happening.
Yeah, Ripple are playing it very defensively, knowing that they don't need to overextend themselves to try and deal with this, as we do actually have the Syndragosa being popped to try and force away the members of Onyx, but I'm not sure that was entirely necessary, as they still have a lot of tools to deal damage to that Immortal with that Hanzo, with that Li Ming. Unless they want to try and re-engage, I really don't think that was necessary at the time. They even had the Blaze on the top side, just pushing in, trying to get some experience for themselves, trying to win the race to level 16, but that is going to be one tool that they won't have.
Yeah, it's a very powerful tool. Like we say, it's 20 seconds to disable any structure, which is going to prove untold value.
The movement made
the
to
rotation.
Yeah, Loke realizes he needs to get out of there. Realizes he saw the rotation coming up, and all of a sudden, they made the very quick decision. I do not want to be anywhere near this kind of play, but it does give over the casual camp over to the side of Onyx. But to be honest, I'd rather give up that camp than my life ending.
Absolutely. Loke is like, nope. We go down to the bot lane there. GL, we see Burnsy taking these shots for the keep. They're going to push this keep out. They've got some pressure here with the Khazra camp. Odin popping out again.
Yeah, it's going to be able to force him away. And funny enough, that Cinder Ghost could have been really useful for trying to push in on that keep right there. Wink, wink.
Perfect opportunity. That would have absolutely given them the edge that they needed there to chop that down quickly. But got to give it to Ripple. That was a very sneaky little backdoor attempt.
Yeah, and it did force out the defensive play from Onyx, realizing that they can't let this keep go down. They can't allow that constant force of pressure of those catapults to be allowed to go through, because that would have just been a real pain to have to deal with for the rest of this game. But now we do have the Immortals coming in. The hard camp, the Shaman camp is going to be picked up by Onyx, so that is a tool that they can use to try and extend this phase. And now that it's on the defensive side, this could actually be very strong for Onyx. If they can play it very defensively, they could just allow the pressure of that the Shaman camp to really just net advantages for them over the long run.
Oh, Blaze stunned by the Immortal. We've got Actorman on the ETC just coming in from behind now. He is going to be going for a very significant mosh pit. Just gets the Blaze interrupted with the Dragon Arrow. Bunker goes down. Bunker gets destroyed. Sanctification. Blaze gets destroyed. Burnsy now on the run there, GL. This is going to be a turn for Onyx. Fish pumping out the damage. Venom slowed. Tyrael on everybody. Oh my goodness, Burnsy still trying to run away. Gets the Stukov. Good night, Sweet Wolf. Burnsy sitting on 90 HP. Oh my goodness, can he get away?
He's going to get away for now, but I'm not sure if he'll be able to get away for too much longer. And even so, delaying his death, or if he does end up dying, he's actually going to get away from that, funnily enough. So he will manage to get away from that. But throughout all of that, yet again, Mav on this Hanzo was just dealing so much damage to the Immortal, but he is going to be forced away, and I'm not sure if they're going to be able to clear it up for themselves. And it's going to be kind of tight, because as I was saying in the draft, these two heroes can output a lot of damage to the Immortal from such a long range. We can see how much it's tanking, even with 3 members of Onyx nearby it. And it is actually just going to get blasted down by the members of Ripple, and I think that's going to be another Immortal going over to the side of Ripple. There it is.
That's a Ripple Immortal there, GL. The Blaze coming back into the fold, and Arthas coming back full health allowed the 4-man to come back in and threaten that, while we had 2 other members over on the Onyx side trying to get that Immortal health down.
Yeah, and even though they lost that team fight with a great play coming out from the rest of Onyx, they're able to get that first kill. It was quite a lot used, though. They were not really aware of that Hanzo just dealing so much damage to that Immortal just out of nowhere. And this is going to be an Immortal that is not going to get too much. Yeah, they're just going to use this as an opportunity to just blast down this bottom keep, finish it off, and then get that pressure going in. They are not going to be needing that Cinder Ghost because of how low they've gotten it before. So they're able to grab that for themselves with that pressure coming out from that Immortal and get out scot-free.
Immortal goes down, but so does the bottom keep. Tychus with that quarterback throw gets the grenade across the 100-meter line. My goodness. They are going for blood here, GL.
Yeah, and this is a very dangerous situation coming in for Ripple. They need to avoid the fight as they are trying to take down Venom. It actually takes a lot of damage. Even the Cinder Ghost getting used, and
oh, the ETC value, nothing. Shardstorm takes out Stukov.
Yeah, they're able to take out one, but they're not able to get much more. But they want to keep on pushing forward. They have lost their keep, but because they've managed to get the kill onto that support, they feel as though they can just keep on pushing forward.
We won't see Stukov coming back for another 30 seconds. We see Fish on the Odin putting out damage at long range. He wants to take some of this keep health down himself. Arthas is threatening that Howling Blast. Leaving's throwing the orbs. She's throwing those magic missiles. She is keeping everybody at bay at the moment.
Oh, a great engage as Mav has actually stepped a little bit too far forward, trying to get some of that damage down. The bunker has to get forced out, but he's taking so much damage, and with the support not there, he's going to struggle to stay alive. Just a little bit more damage. He does manage to get out of it. Just
there goes the Tyrael.
just a little bit of an overextension coming out from Onyx. They were trying to get that play to happen. They almost got it to work. If they managed to get the kill onto the Blaze, that would have helped out immensely in giving them some room for this next Immortal, but they don't get the kill. They end up losing the Tyrael instead, and that is going to be a massive blow to their chances in this next Immortal phase.
Now, JL, just thinking about it, this is one thing that some of these teams are going to need to adapt or change or practice going against any of the Premier Division teams if they make it to the top. Now, that we're seeing some of those heroic abilities picked up and used in really inopportune moments.
Yeah, some of the usage has been, I'll just try to say it, there's been some subpar usage, and it's really cost some of these team fights or potential kills going over to either side. But we have all 5 members back soon. The Tyrael's coming back just now, but still, even though they don't have that Tyrael, it looks like Onyx are still able to race down the Immortal very quickly, and it's actually going to be rather close to who gets the Immortal here.
Oh, look, trying to put a little bit of pressure onto the guys on Onyx. It's not going to work, though. Onyx are going to take this one, and they disengage.
Yeah, they managed to get the Immortal for themselves so they can start trying to be the proactive team around the map, because we've seen so far just how strong Ripple have been in playing around the map. Even though they keep on losing member here and there, they still keep on getting the objectives. They keep on playing around the map so very well. And because they actually managed to get the hard camp and also that camp on the bottom side, this is just forcing Onyx to just deal with that instead of playing with the Immortal.
Yeah, and a very interesting rotation that we're seeing here. No support for the Immortal coming from Onyx. They're looking for a bottom 5-man push in a similar fashion to what we saw come out of Ripple.
Yeah, just trying to make the same play as we do have. Whoa, here comes the response from Ripple. They had the tools to push, or very literally push them away from that keep, and that is just going to allow them to hold on to that. And with all the damage, a great mosh pit comes in.
2-man mosh pit onto the Blaze. The Dragon Arrow stops that though. We've got Tyrael coming in with the Holy Ground.
Nice.
Sanctification's used. He's going in on the lock. Lock is going to jet propulsion back.
Right.
It's Stukov lurking arm. Goodbye, sir.
Yeah, the massive shove, I don't think was necessary. They could have actually gotten the kill onto that ETC, but they are going to try and keep this chase going. But the slowing tone coming out from the Rhaegar is going to keep them away. But still, a great defense coming out of Ripple. Feel as though they could have gotten the kill onto the ETC had that massive shove not been used, but still they are rather okay with just holding onto that keep, maintaining that that strength in that bottom lane, that constant pressure they'll be forcing down that lane for the rest of the match. And we are just now getting to level 20s for both sides.
We see the level 16 talent there from Rhaegar. Earthgrass Totem really slowing that team down as soon as he places it for 90 seconds. Sorry, 90 seconds. 90% for 1 second.
That would
be a little OP, not going to lie.
That would be, that'd be kind of Dota levels of powerful. I'm just going to say right there.
Just a bit.
But yeah, the Shaman Camp has been picked up by the side of Onyx, and they're going to be playing with this for a little bit. And they have a little bit of time before they have to really worry about those catapults on that bottom side. They're not really going for that the Kazuha camp on the top because of everyone being there. Essentially, they don't want to try and force a play that they don't need to. Level 20s have been picked up, and it is actually going to be the death metal being picked up by the ETC, not wanting to hold onto it for a potential last-second change or last-second selection into a play. So he is going to be throwing himself in and amongst the mix and kind of hoping that the side of Ripple haven't really been looking at those talents and really catch them off guard.
And we see both of the teams here at the moment. Again, we've got Loke trying to distract on that top Immortal, but the Hanzo damage is just incredible. He takes down that bottom Immortal with an extra 4,000 damage.
Oh, the Cinder Ghost, it does get used. The upgrade was taken at level 20, so it will root heroes for 2 seconds, as we saw right there, and it really helped Blaze get out of that. But we actually have the halftime. It's rather close on both sides, but throughout all of this, we've got catapults starting to work their way into the base of Onyx, and they are forced back, and this is the opportunity for Ripple to just move their way in onto this Immortal.
And force the Greymane back to deal with that catapult pressure as the shield almost goes down on the core for Onyx. And we've got Burnsy putting a lot of pressure onto the Tychus. He's really trying to lock him down. Quads going in. ETC gets the mosh, gets interrupted immediately. He goes after Mav. Dragon's Arrow comes out. Burnsy in the middle, slowing everybody down. We've got the Sanctification coming down. Burnsy getting so much pressure, and he goes down. Go for the throat. completely annihilates him. Loke being charged down by Shardstorm. This Greymane wants their blood, GL.
Yeah, and they're going to be able to utilize this or use this to push themselves onto that Immortal. Mav not trying to make the same plays he has all game, but is not going to be fast enough to be able to really match the amount of damage potential coming out from Onyx. And this should be an Immortal going over to them, and there it is. It's going to be picked up, but a great fight coming out from Onyx, managing to get that Arthas. And because one thing to really note is that because he has taken Sidrigosa, he doesn't have the Army of the Dead. He doesn't have that long-term sustain throughout these team fights, and we really noticed it in that fight there.
He can't keep himself up, and the odd timing on the use of the Sindragosa is something to really talk about later, GL. But Fish taking a big chunk of damage there, eating a bunch of arrows, and just really not enjoying life right now. We see Onyx.
They have to be very careful with this fight, because if it goes on for too long, they've got catapults starting to work their way into the base. I feel as though they're wanting to use this as kind of like a their final gambit. They need to really get something to happen, but the Sindragosa locks them up incredibly well.
Sindragosa goes out, Loke charges in. We see the Dragon's Arrow. We see Greymane all over Lapra's face. The Immortal pushing towards the core now. And this is fight or die time for Ripple. Locke getting caught by Shardstorm out on that sideline.
They need to deal with the damage.
A lot of damage very quickly here, ladies and gentlemen. Shardstorm falls. We've got the Sanctification out on the core, GL. This is going to be game, set, and match going to Onyx.
Yeah, really great fight, last-ditch fight coming out from Onyx, realizing that they had the tools in the arsenal to be able to just extend the fight and allow that Immortal to punch through a lot of that HP on the core. So a really great final fight there. Ripple doing so well for so long, but just not able to get those fights in their favor in the end, just dropping some members at some inopportune times, and it really cost them in those late game fights.